partners.
The Financial Express recently felicitated the best in the IT sector at the Express IT Awards held in Bengaluru. The event kicked off with a panel discussion amongst the stalwarts of the IT industry on the topic Innovation through Incubation.
There's a lot of talk about innovators doing disruption, and you've been one of the largest angel investors in the whole country. You've been investing in quite a number of startups. You've been incubating them. How do you scale this model? How do more people start incubating startups just like an individual like you can?
Yeah, I think first of all, I think it's important to appreciate how far India has moved, in 5 years. I think in terms of scaling, I think 3 or 4 things need to happen, right? First, what's very important is for us to have a large number of first generation sort of internet, mobile, software, SaaS type entrepreneurs, because I think they tend to be the best mentors of the new generation of companies, right? I think the second is what we are beginning to see already, right? High quality incubators, whether it's the Microsoft Accelerator and many others, and then beyond that, it's really the ecosystem, right? Angel investors, venture capitalists, the support firms like lawyers, accountants, and so on and so forth. And in terms of angel funding platforms, I mean that's very important. I mean, Let's Venture here in Bangalore was launched at the beginning of the year. It's already the largest angel funding platform, right? They've done 18 or 19 investments in 10, 11 months. We probably need many of those. So I would say it's a combination of these things, but what we need more than anything else is to have a couple of hundred very successful product, internet, mobile startups.
So Ravi, just getting back to you, you've been just down from the NASSCOM, the policy discussions. If you want to really jumpstart the whole startup ecosystem, the whole incubation ecosystem, we've all been trying to do different models. What is really stopping us, and what would be your recommendations for Government of India for the next budget? Is our next Jobs Act under your wings?
Well, I think the first thing is an individual entrepreneur should not think of anything as a hurdle, right? It's often said that entrepreneurship is the pursuit of opportunity regardless of the resources at hand. Because an individual entrepreneur can't wait for government policy to take effect, all of that, right? But collectively, as an ecosystem, certainly there's a whole bunch of things we can do to enable, to nurture, to grow, and support in many ways. So I think it's going to take a village. I mean, like they say, the old adage is, it takes a village to raise a child. It's going to take a village. And you've got some of the folks here in that village who are participating, and I think we've just got to all chip in, right? And I think you've got to keep the perspective that don't keep comparing yourself to Silicon Valley. We're going to build our own version of it. I think even in the US, there are cities that look at Silicon Valley and say, how do I become like Silicon Valley? And everything else being equal, haven't achieved it. I think it's great to be inspired by them, and to be motivated by them, but we have to build our own version that works for us, right?
Why do you say that, Ravi? I mean, it's the most successful model anywhere in the world. So I don't know what is the perspective of this panel, but I would like to hear from the panel here. I think the question is, that was what the point that Mr. Sikka raised was, Indians are generally good at taking orders, but not extremely good at finding solutions. Now, do we question enough as a nation? Do we question enough?
I think that's changing. Actually the last I looked at, 45% of the largest R&D spenders in the world now have presence in India. They started out by development centers that were developing or outsourcing work around R&D. One of the challenges with startup is if you don't have product management capability, you can't conceptualize a product. That's changing a little bit, because now there's a lot more dependency, there's a lot more training that these people have gone through, so more product managers are being created. So I think that's one piece that I find is creating a bit of shift. Rather than following orders, you conceptualize something and you're able to create something. The second thing that's happening is with cloud coming in and SaaS models, it's becoming a lot more easier for startups to provide global coverage at a much lower cost. Because think about if you didn't have these models and how it was previously, right? It was very hard for you to penetrate into global markets. But with mobile, with cloud, with social, with the whole smack, it is becoming far more easier for startups to go out and start selling.
See, there are various aspects to innovation, right? So I'm sure the panel will agree if I say that innovation is finding new ways of creating value. So there is an idea piece to it, and I think we are very good at that. We generate a lot of ideas. We are enthusiastic about ideas. We're able to project the ideas quite well. Now we need to start connecting our ideas to these market spaces and think big. You know, the innovators need to have that confidence, think big, be hands-on, and pull in the money. So the money, I agree, is not the difficulty.
When large, so usually startups are innovating, and startups which need incubation, but large companies like yours, so I know for sure you're funding something in MIT, where there is real hardcore research happening. So there is a brilliant guy in MIT which is funded by Tata who's found a new membrane for water purification. And it's an extremely low cost production capability. But inside a large company like Tata, which already makes a lot of money by selling purifiers, if you bring in this technology, it immediately kills your existing business. Have you been facing these situations in Tata, and how do large companies incubate these ideas?
You see, the critical thing is to recognize that unless you're disrupting yourself, somebody else will disrupt you. So it is good to have a model where you're constantly thinking about what next. And in the Tata Group, the model is fairly straightforward. You have the mature companies which are independent. Some of them are listed. The parent company is not listed and actually behaves like a startup.
So I represent a large enterprise example. So I think you need to understand that we have a huge install base which is very loyal. They expect that you innovate, but you don't disrupt. So that part you need to take care. But at the same time, what is happening in the market is the customers are getting much more intelligent, or they have a lot of innovative ideas. So, and if you tie up with them, with your loyal customers, you start working with them in a co-innovation way, you actually start creating a completely new product or a new solution. So you start seeing more and more of this, where you see a lot of these big organizations are moving in a co-innovation mode with those customers, with those partners, and creating completely new business and the solution.
Partners. Partners.
In India, do we give enough freedom and enough freedom to fail for these incubation centers? I mean, do we support it enough? What's been your experience?
One is you need to give the space for them to do something which is exploratory in terms of working with the customers or working with something new. At the same time, the management needs to be very clear that some of these ideas would fail. And those ideas needs to be taken in a positive way rather than creating or hitting on their back. And that's the reason, in order to achieve this, we actually give the annual awards. And we give one award, which is just a pure Spirit of Innovation award, which is basically on a failed topic which is not made through, for whatever reasons it is. Either it is not feasible, which is brilliant idea, brilliant topic, but somehow it has not worked out. But the person was right, and you just make sure that you get this right kind of thing which is known to the people, that you appreciate this, and this is the culture we need to build in, and we are willing to accept that in this kind of world, there would be few failures, and we need to accept it and appreciate it to all the people.
Rajan, you want to add to that? I mean, the way we support.
Yeah, look, my view is very simple, okay? You know, when we think about building India's innovation ecosystem, right, it's really about that founder. It's about that startup and how do we make them successful, right? So, you know, I think what's important from a innovation in India standpoint is, and I feel so strongly about this, is let's focus on the founders, let's focus on the startups, and let's make them wildly successful.
We're encouraged by a lot of billion-dollar companies. The government is trying to set up an incubator in every district, and you've been part of the MSME events. What's happening to the government incubator programs, and how do you think it's going to pan out?
So the government incubator programs are one element, right, of the whole ecosystem. I think they tend to be, in some instances, more facilities, and other organizations have to come in and add the value, right? That's great for the base of the pyramid. But I think where we need to also pay attention is the middle and the top of the pyramid, right? In some sense, because those are the companies that are going to set the role model. The 200 companies Rajan referred to, the next $10 billion companies, we've got to make sure we nurture those as well, because there are huge opportunities to accelerate them and make sure that they get to the next level, right? And I think, in India, we have this unique kind of combination of GICs. We have some 900 GICs that are doing R&D work out of India. Not many ecosystems can tap into that. And that talent, that expertise is going to leak out into the startup ecosystem, and it already is. So that's a huge value add. In addition, we have this huge behemoth of IT services that's there, that's successful, that's built a huge brand around the world, and that's too going to have its impact, right? You can never be sure where innovation will actually truly come out of. But I think in the end, they'll all be, the most innovative companies will all get drawn into the metros, the 4 or 5 spots, and that's true in the United States.
Are you sure it's going to be like that in India? We're going to just have a Bangalore, Bombay, Chennai, and Delhi?
No, I think innovation will happen everywhere. For instance, on the Udupi coast, there's RoboSoft that's selling software to the world. They're using distribution that's online. To Dinesh's point of, the world has truly become flat, right? You now have distribution networks you can tap into that didn't exist even 4 years ago. App stores are hugely enabling, because I can build an application, collect in 100 currencies, and not even have a passport to travel, right? That was impossible for somebody who was building IP 5 years ago.
I just want to, actually this is a startup at your startup village. It's called the Cookbook. It's the second largest cooking app in the world on Android Play Store. The founders are 23 years old. There's 6 of them, and they make $60,000 a month.
And there's 3 of them.
There's to your point and what you guys said, right? And these guys launched like a year ago. The second largest cooking app in the world. They're making a lot more money if they had taken regular jobs.
On that note, if I can, throw in a perspective, all ways of making money, we cannot classify as innovation, right? And so that is where I think some of your questions are coming from, is that why are we all saying that there is so much innovation happening and you're not feeling it? Okay, right? And where I'll give you an example. So recently, I had this very nice trip of meeting startups. There's Zurich, Boston, Amsterdam, Bombay, Tel Aviv, Bangalore, right? And one story stands out. So in Tel Aviv, I meet this individual, and he says that, your big data architectures, which are out there today, at 1/10 of the footprint, I'll give you 100x the speed. This is think big. This is new technology which will make tectonic shifts.
So just on that point, today there are 130 million internet users in the country, in India. But it's going to grow to almost 580 to 600 million broadband users by 2018. That's the number that we're forecasting, right?
How is it going to happen? Who's going to lay the fiber for that? Or is it going to happen over 4G?
But it's a combination of fiber. It's a combination of what the telcos are doing. There's 4G getting launched. I classify that into basically a broadband service. But to the point you're raising, if there's a startup today who's largely in that space, his ability to offer services of any kind, could be travel, hospitality, education, whatever it is, right? That goes 4 or 5-fold in just a matter of 3.5 years. So if somebody has that unique idea, he's got that 3-year runway in which you'll see an absolute explosion of the number of users that can use it. But that's another encouraging sign to be able to scale up.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, panel.
Partners.
Panel discussion, it was time for the awards ceremony where both companies at the cutting edge of technological innovations and leading professionals across the IT industry were felicitated for their contributions that have enabled business to go beyond the ordinary.
Particularly exciting about the rise of IT in the world is that some of the biggest and, if I can say, sexiest companies today are under 21 years old. This forces a lot of influential and powerful businessmen and women, the leaders of these IT companies in India, to respect and value disruptive, crazy ideas from young minds who in India have never gotten the attention they deserve. So the Express IT Awards, ladies and gentlemen, is to help you enjoy the journey. It's to recognize our progress as a nation of dreamers and doers, and is the most credible endorsement of your pursuit of excellence.
As most of you are aware, some categories are being awarded based on the call for entries process, which has been evaluated by PwC India, a knowledge support partner, and are judged by an esteemed panel of jury. I would like to now invite Mr. Rajan Anandan, Managing Director, Google India, also a member of our esteemed jury panel, to please address the gathering and share his experience of being on our jury.
I think there were a couple of things that struck out to all of us who were members of the jury. First was innovation comes from everywhere. In each category, we had a very exciting set of large companies that were doing very, very interesting things, as well as several startups or younger companies that were doing very interesting, very innovative initiatives. I think the second thing that was great to see is coming, from India, we are beginning to see innovations that are both unique, which obviously is very, very important, as well as scalable, right? I think the last thing that we saw was it was very, very difficult for us to build a consensus around who the winners were in each of these categories. And the reason it was difficult was because of the quality of the entries. When you've got a country that is so large, and when you've got an industry, this year actually this IT industry in India is going to do over $120 billion of revenue, right? When you've got a $100 billion plus industry that's growing at 15 to 20% year on year, we've got, just to be selected, even to be in a short list of companies is a truly wonderful achievement.
Ladies and gentlemen, we now begin with the first category, the IT Innovation Award. This award category recognizes the contribution of both large enterprises and MSMEs in the IT innovation space. And the winner of the IT Innovation Award 2014 for large enterprises is Cisco Systems India Private Limited. The runner-up for the IT Innovation Award 2014 for large enterprises jointly goes to SAP Labs India and Tata Consultancy Services. Ladies and gentlemen, our second category of awards for this evening is the IT Biz Award. And the winner for the IT Biz 2014 awards is Asadius Technologies, better known as CRM Next. The runner-up for the IT Biz 2014 award has been awarded jointly to HCL Technologies and Nadi Information Technology. is the Green Technology Award. This award felicitates IT companies that have developed and deployed green IT solutions, enabling optimization of resources such as reduction in power consumption, carbon emissions, and also impacting climate change mitigation, amongst others. And the winner for the Green Technology Award 2014 is N Computing India. For the Green Technology Award 2014 has been jointly awarded to Zoho Corporation and Tata Consultancy Services. We've come to the last award for the evening, the IT Lifetime Achievement Award 2014. This award is being conferred to a veteran IT professional who, with his vision and exemplary contribution, has not only shaped the future of the Indian IT industry, but has become an inspiration for many. We are talking of none other than Mr. Subramaniam Ramadurai.
The revenue of 118 billion US dollars in the year 2013-14, the IT enabled services industry today accounts for 8.1% of India's GDP, with a direct employment of 3.1 million people and an indirect employment of over 10 million. Despite having started riding the wave of cost arbitrage, the Indian IT-enabled services industry now offers a distinctive technology leadership, huge skills advantage, high scalability, process maturity, robust security, and of course, high customer centricity. It gives me great pleasure to accept the award, and I feel truly humbled on receiving this recognition.
Post the award ceremony, the vote of thanks was delivered by Mr. George Verghese.
For we at the Express Group, this annual Express IT Award is an opportunity to celebrate the brilliant minds of the IT industry. It's something all Indians are proud of, and it's a great opportunity for us to honor these brilliant minds. Coming to the IT industry, I think in 3 decades, this industry has transformed Middle India. You know, it has propelled millions of people into the middle class, created wealth for lakhs of people, and all this without corruption, without land grabbing, without rent seeking, without crony capitalism, without political patronage. And isn't this so wonderful? To finalize, to close, let me once again thank every one of you here, especially the winners. We will be back next year with a new set of achievements to recognize and celebrate. Thank you very much.
Partners.